Good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, the 21st of January 2021, and we're going to start our home learning for today. First up, senior infants, we are going to do our phonics and we're going to correct our work from yesterday. So will you please open up page 64 in your Over the Moon now, please. Your first activity was to cross out or circle the pictures of words that have the oi sound. So balloon does not, boil does, peach does not, foil does, scissors does not, oil does. So make sure you gave those three a tick if you got them correct. Next, you had to match the words to the pictures after tracing in all of your oi, oi, oi special friends. So, k, oi, n, s, coins. Next one, b, oi, boil. The kettle will boil. Next one, s, oi, soil. Oink, oink. Oil, spoil. The mom will spoil the girl. And down here you had to look at the picture and figure out what word it was, what oi word. And this is a picture of a coin. K, oi, n, coin. This is what we use to wrap our sandwiches in. F, oi, foil. And here the boy will point. P, oi, n, t, point. And in activity D, we had our paragraph. Look for coins in the soil, said Ma'am. Can you point to the soil? Asked Tom. Well done, boys and girls. First up, first class, we are going to correct yesterday's phonics work. So will you please open up your Just Phonics on page 78, please. Your first word going down vertically was choice. Ch, oi, s, choice. The first word going across horizontally was t, oi, let. Toilet. Number 3 going down, we play with it. Toy, t-oy, T-O-Y. Number 5, a sound a pig makes going across horizontally. Oink, O-I-N-K. Number 4 going vertically down, very happy, joy, J-oy, J-O-Y. Next, something we use to talk, number 6 going horizontally across, V-oy-c, V-O-I-C-E. And once again, that's our C-E that's making the S sound. Next, number 7, going vertically down, wears boots and rides a horse. Cowboy, cow, ow, boy, b-oy, C-O-W-B-O-Y. Then number 10, going horizontally across, a black fuel, we call it oil, oil, O-I-L. Number 8, another word for earth is soil. Soil. S-O-I-L. Number 11, going horizontally across, what a sailor says, ahoy. Capital A-H-O-Y. Number 9, going vertically down, money can be a coin. K-O-I-N. Number 12, very hot water begins to boil. B-O-I-L. Boil. And finally, number 13, to make a person cross, annoy. A-N-N-O-Y. And sorry, now the final one, number 12, going down, not a girl, it must be a boy. B-O-Y. B-O-Y. Well done. Next up, boys and girls, we are going to be doing our sequencing activity. That means putting events in order based on our story, A State Agent to the Rescue, written by Carol Fallon and illustrated by Anya Lynch. Every story, boys and girls, starts with a setting. That setting just tells you where the story is happening, when it is happening, and who is in the story. For example, once upon a time there was a little princess who lived in a castle. That would be your setting. Then you have a beginning. A beginning of a story is what starts a story off. What's the first thing to happen? Then you have a problem. In every story, something goes wrong. After the problem, you have a resolution. A resolution is how the problem is fixed. For example, if you look at the story, The Three Little Pigs, the problem was that the wolf was trying to get in and eat them. But how was that problem fixed? Well, the two little pigs ran to their brother's house that was made out of bricks. After your resolution, you have the end of the story. And many fairy tales often end with, they lived happily ever after. So I'm just going to say that again one more time. Most stories start with a setting that tells you who, what, where, and when. Then you have a beginning, what happens at the start. A problem is third, what goes wrong in the story. A resolution is fourth, how is the problem fixed? And finally, you have the end of the story. So we're going to be thinking back to A State Agent to the Rescue. Now, if you need, boys and girls, you can click the link to listen to our story one more time before you do this activity. But we'll go through this sequencing together. Here on page 62 in your Over the Moon book, it's asking you to connect the pictures in the correct order. So here we're going straight to the problem of the story, which was the house was too small for Callum's family. So they called an estate agent to put the house up for sale. When the estate agent and Callum's parents put the house up for sale, what did they need to do before people came to view it? They needed to clean the house. What did they do once they had the house ready for people to view it? Well, Callum's parents brought him and his sister to view their new house. So off they went on their journey in their car. Finally, their problem of living in a too small house was that they moved to a bigger house where both Callum and his sister each had their own bedroom. So, boys and girls, we've now put that story in order. We've put it into a sequence. In part B, you are asked to write and draw about how the setting changed. So remember, boys and girls, a setting is who is in the story, where is the story happening, and when. But right now, we are just going to be focusing on the who and the where. So where were they at the beginning of the story? Well, Callum was living in a house that had grown too small for him and his family. So you could draw a picture of Callum's house and his dad may be in the kitchen telling him it's too small. And how did the story end? Well, the story ended by them living in a bigger house. And that's how the setting changed. Then I want you to write one sentence for the beginning of the story and one sentence for the end of the story. So it had a, what type of house? It had a small house. And then at the end, it has a big house. And try and write your sentences as best as you can on your own using your phonics. Remember, house has our ow, ow, ouch sound. Also, please, boys and girls, remember to write today's date 21.1 at the top of your page. When you're done, I'd love for you to retell the story in your own words to your parents or somebody else in your family. Best of luck, boys and girls. So, boys and girls in first class, today we are going to be sequencing our story, Estate Agent to the Rescue, written by Carol Fallon and illustrated by Anya Lynch. We are going to be using our story mountain to help us sequence the parts of the story in order. Children who were in my class last year might remember this story mountain as we used it a lot last year. But if you're not, don't worry, we're going to go through it together now. So boys and girls, most stories always have a setting at the start. A setting is just the part of the story that tells you who is in the story, where the story is happening, when it is happening, and what is going on. So for example, in the story The Three Little Pigs, who was in the story? Well, the three little pigs. When was it? Once upon a time. Where were they? They were all living in their mom's house. What was going on? Their mom had told them they needed to move out. So once upon a time, there were three little pigs who lived in their mom's house. After you have said the setting, which is usually just the first paragraph in a short story or the first page in a longer story, you move on to the beginning. The beginning of a story is what starts events off. what starts to happen in the story. Then you have a problem. So most stories have a problem where something goes wrong. For example, going back to the Three Little Pigs, what was the problem? The big bad wolf was trying to eat them and blow their houses down. After the problem, you have the resolution. The resolution is just how the problem is fixed. So, with the Three Little Pigs, the problem was the big bad wolf was blowing down their houses and trying to eat them. The problem was fixed because the two little pigs ran to their brother's house that was made out of bricks. And after the problem is fixed, you finally have your ending. And that's simply just how does the story end. So we're going to be following this story mountain when we're reading our stories from now on. And we're going to be using it now to help us sequence our story Estate Agent to the Rescue. So at the bottom left of our mountain here, we are going to be starting our story with our setting. So let's think about who is in the setting. Well, who do we see? Callum and his dad. Where are they? They are in his kitchen in his small house. What is happening? His dad is saying it's too small. So you could say, once upon a time, Callum and his dad were in his house which had become too small for his family. Then you move on to your beginning. So what happened? His mom and dad decided that they needed to view a bigger house. So one day they set off to view a bigger house to live in. What was the problem? The problem was that Callum was upset that his house was up for sale. How was the problem fixed? Well, Callum went to view his new house with his family, and luckily he realized that there were so many cool things about this new house. Like him and his sister each had their own bedroom. And finally, how did the story end? Callum lived happily ever after in his brand new home with a playground across the road, a tree house in his garden, and his brand new painting in his brand new bedroom. So what I want you to do, boys and girls, is to write a sentence to describe what happened in the setting, beginning, problem, resolution, and ending of this story. It can just be a short sentence if you want, or you can challenge yourself by including these super sentence starters: once upon a time, one day, unfortunately, luckily, finally. You can challenge yourself even more by describing the feelings Callum was feeling or the adjectives for the different nouns you mention. But the main point I want you to do is just be able to sequence the events in order. Best of luck, boys and girls. On the next slide, I have this story mountain and the pictures up in a bigger size for you to help you when you are writing. Can't wait to see what you show me. Today, instead of a phonics activity, boys and girls, you are going to be doing a reading comprehension activity based on our story of the week, A Squash and a Squeeze, written by Julia Donaldson. Today, your activity is to sequence in order the animals that appeared in the lady's house. So you open up page 69 in Over the Moon book for senior infants, and you look at the pictures of the animals. You have to think back on the story and remember which animal entered the house first. The first animal to enter the house was the hen. So you write number 1 beside the hen. You write number 2 beside the picture of the second animal, 3 beside the third, and 4 beside the fourth animal to enter the house. When you've that done, I want you to imagine and elaborate on the story. That means extend the story, make it longer. I want you to imagine another animal that could enter the house. You write the name of that type of animal here. So for example, I might say another farm animal entered the house. I'll say a horse. Take in your horse. So I wrote the type of animal here on the line, and then I will draw a picture of a horse in the old lady's house. Remember, as always, please write today's date on top of your page. Today's date is 14.1 for the 14th day of the first month of the year. Best of luck, boys and girls. Remember to send a photo in on the Class Dojo portfolio when you're done. Okay, senior infants, now we're going to correct page 35 of your Spell Well. Yesterday's homework, we had to match the words to where their missing boxes were. So first one was girl. It was very important in this activity to really keep an eye on the shape and size of your letters. Were they tall letters, long letters, short letters? First one was girl, G-I-R-L. Second one was boy, B-O-Y. Third one was mop, M-O-P, M-O-P. And last one was lot, L-O-T, lot. Now, boys and girls, we're going to move on to our spellings this week. Our first spelling is n-o-t, not. N-o-t, not. Next, boys and girls, b-oy, boy. And oi is a special friend. It's the sound you're learning this week. We are learning that oi can make the special friend sound oi, but also oy can also make the special friend sound oi. B-oy. Now, what type of a word is boy? It's a person, so it's a noun. Color it yellow, please. Next one, g-r-l, girl. Use your super speller fingers to help you sound out the sounds. G-r-l, girl. How many sounds did you have? 3. So that lets you know you have a special friend, because there was 4 letters but only 3 sounds. I-R is coming together to make the R sound. What type of a word is girl, boys and girls? It's a noun, so color it yellow because it's a person. Then you have to do activity E tonight. You have to match the word to its jumbled up word and then rewrite it nice and neat. So here, ought, p, Well, it's not boy because there's no B. It's not girl because it only has 3 letters. It might be pot and it might be mop. So both of them have an O. Pot has a T, but mop doesn't have a T, so it must be pot. I'll join my line and then I'll write it correctly here. P-ot. Best of luck, boys and girls. First up, boys and girls, we're going to correct yesterday's spell well. So activity D, number A or letter A, stay on top of water is to float. F-L-O-T. Float. F-L-O-A-T. Heat water until it bubbles. Boil. B-O-I-L. B-O-I-L. A sharp tip or end. Point. P-O-I-N-T. Point. P-O-I-N-T. D, air that moves. Wind. W-I-N-D. W-I-N-D. Looks similar to a frog except it's big, ugly and slimy. It's a toad. T-O-D. Toad. T-O-A-D. And finally, seeds and bulbs are planted in this. Soil. S-O-I-L. Soil. S-O-I-L. First spelling tonight, boys and girls. Let's get our super speller fists ready and sound it out together. D-R-K. Dark. We have 3 sounds before letters, so that tells us we have a special friend. Our special friend is R in the middle. Underline it, please. And what type of a word is dark? The room is dark when the lamp is off. It's an adjective, so colour it blue, please. Next one, super speller fists ready to sound out our sounds. D-R-I. D-R-I. Dry. The Y is making the long I sound at the end, just like fly, try. Dry is the opposite of wet. It's an adjective. It's a describing word, so colour it blue. Both of these adjectives could be used to describe the weather. They're both weather adjectives. Third spelling tonight. L-I-N. Line. 3 sounds before letter lets me know there's a special friend. My special friend is the magic E turning the I into the long I sound. Line. A line is what type of a word, boys and girls? It's something that we learned about in our estate agent to the rescue vocabulary. A line is a queue of people waiting for something, or it means to queue. Just like we're in our Lena outside our classroom waiting to return to class after loan. And finally, boys and girls, wind. Wind. What type of a word is wind? It's a noun because it's a thing. But also, remember I said this word can spell wind. W-I-N-D. Wind. And wind means to wrap tightly around again and again and again, just like a wind-up toy, like our Jack in the Box. So it can also be a verb, so you can colour it half yellow and half red, please. Well done, boys and girls. Now it's time for our mini oral language lesson. Today we are going to be learning the meaning of the word client. A client is a noun because it's a person. It is like a customer in a shop, but instead of buying items, they buy services. So just like when you go to the hairdressers or the barbers, you are their client. They don't call you their customer, they call you their client. If you go to the estate agent and ask them to help you find a new house, you are their client. Or if somebody goes to a lawyer to get their advice, you are their client. So basically, a client is like a customer, but instead of buying items and things, they buy services. I want you to go now to your mom or dad and explain in your own words the definition of client, please. Now time for our Irish lesson, boys and girls. This week we are going to be learning 2 new special words. Gá focal nua specialta. We are learning bhí, which means was, and the preposition which means on. You are going to play 2 games just like last week to practice reading these new special words. Click this link to practice reading the word bhí, and click this link to practice reading the word air. Shomra folka. Repeat after me. Shomra folka. Call Revniev. Vniev sa shomra folka. Repeat after me. Vniev sa shomra folka. Sha kofra. Repeat after me. Sha kofra. 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 Sha tualia. Repeat after me. Sha tualia. Sha bregon. Repeat after me. Sha bregon. Sha pauper lehris. Repeat after me. Sha pauper lehris. Anish, I want you to take a D on Shomra Folka, agus feig tualia, bregon, agus pauper lehris. Queer tualia, bregon, agus pauper lehris, on, gofra. Now, boys and girls, it's time to practice putting our focal nua into sentences with our focal specialta. So repeat after me. Bhí tualia an gofra. Bhí tualia an gofra. Bhí bregon an gofra. Bhí páipéir leithris an gcófra. Uair amháin eile. Bhí tuáile an gcófra. Repeat after me. Bhí bréagán an gcófra. Repeat after me. Bhí bréagán an gcófra. Bhí páipéir leithris an gcófra. Repeat after me. Bhí páipéir leithris an gcófra. Anish, round a hain, I want you to practice reading these sentences. Iver a hain, bhí tuáile an gcófra. Iver a dó, bhí bréagán an gcófra. Iver a trí, bhí páipéir leithris an gcófra. Now, boys and girls, it's time for our science, and today we're going to be investigating materials and sorting them into sets of waterproof and absorbent. I really recommend that you watch these two videos to help you learn more about waterproof and absorbent materials. So you are going to be using the same materials that you've used all week, but please make sure that you have permission from your parents when doing this, because you are going to be dropping water on each of these materials. If something is waterproof, water will usually run off it and not soak into it. If something is absorbent, it will soak up the water like a sponge. So you can investigate to see whether your materials are waterproof or absorbent by dropping a teaspoon of water over the material. If the water rolls off the material, it is waterproof, and if the material soaks up the water, it is absorbent. I'd advise you to do this over a sink so not to make spillages, especially because we've been talking about how to keep our house nice and safe. We don't want anybody slipping on wet floors. And please do this with adult supervision. I hope you have fun doing the investigation, boys and girls. Nearly time for our movement break, but as you know, we're going to first go back over counting in twos. Let's go even quicker again today, boys and girls. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. We said that all numbers that you can count up to 2 in and that you can split into two groups evenly are called even numbers. When we filled in our numbers using this grid, we were able to notice a pattern with our even numbers. We noticed that all even numbers either end with 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. And we practice our little rhyme, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Even numbers, they are great. So I want you to say that with me again, and you can stomp your feet. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Even numbers, they are great. Excellent. Let's practice it again. And this time we will clap. 1, 2, 3. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Even numbers, they are great. Excellent, boys and girls. So that little chant will help you remember that any number that ends with a 0, a 2, a 4, a 6, or an 8 must be an even number. But what about these other numbers that I can see? Well, these numbers are the opposite of even. They are odd numbers. So we're going to colour in all our odd numbers blue. While I do that on the screen, boys and girls, I would like you to examine these odd numbers and see, do you notice any pattern? Did you notice anything, boys and girls? Have another look now while I label my 2 digits, tens and units, T for tens, U for units. You might have noticed, boys and girls, 1, 11, 21. All these numbers end in 1. Here we have 3, 13, 23. All these numbers end in 3. Here we have 5, 15, 25. All these odd numbers end with 5. 7, 17, 27. All these numbers end in 7. 9, 19, 29. All these numbers end with 9. This pattern lets us know that all odd numbers end with either 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9. Odd numbers are numbers that we can't split into 2 groups evenly. So just say if I had 3 sweets, 1 for you, 1 for me, and we've 1 left over. I can't split 3 into 2 groups evenly. All odd numbers will end in 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9. So our new snippet of learning today, boys and girls, is numbers that end in 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 are odd numbers. Well done. Next up, boys and girls, it's time for our hands-on maths lesson. And today you are going to be drawing a poster or completing this worksheet showing the properties of the 4 different 3D shapes you've been exploring over the last 2 weeks. Your poster should describe for each shape how many faces they have, how many corners or vertices, how many edges, does it slide or roll, and does it stack? I know you already know all this information, boys and girls, but I just want you to put it together in one neat table on this worksheet or on a poster. This worksheet is downloadable on our Class Dojo story. On the next slide, I'm going to show you examples of how you could create a poster. So if you look here, boys and girls, this poster has a picture of the shape and it has its name beside it. In the middle it has its properties of how many faces, corners and edges, and here they've drawn pictures of real life examples of these types of shapes. Here they've done the title of the shape and drawn a picture, and then they've stated all the information. So you can draw, paint or trace your poster, or you could also use an app just like I've done here. So I used my Pic Collage app on my phone, which was free, and I took a picture of my 3D shape. Then I used the text part of my app to type in cylinder, and here I wrote 0 corners, 3 faces, stack slides and rolls, and 2 edges, and I just copied the template that was free to use on Pic Collage. I've noticed some parents using Pic Collage already and others using Photo Grid. So that's just an option for you. If you don't want to draw or paint, you can just use your photo app, and I'd love to see it. Now it's time for our mental maths. So please open up page 35 in your Work It Out. We are doing Thursday week 16. I'm going to go straight into calling out our questions. Number 1, plus 6 equals 14. Number 2, plus 6 equals 16. Number 3, plus 6 equals 12. Number 4, plus 6 equals 8. Number 5, plus 6 equals 9. Number 6, show half an hour later. Number 7, the cake costs 17 cents. How much more do you need? You have 5 cents and 10 cents. Number 8, ring the odd one out. Number 9, 15 equals plus 5. Number 10, fill in the missing numbers. 40, 50, 90. Number 11, 5 less than 50 equals. That's a tricky one. Number 12, 12 take 9 equals. Number 13, ring half of the balls. Number 14, tick the lowest. Number 15, there are months in a season. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Okay, we're going to correct together, boys and girls. Number 1, 8 plus 6 equals 14. 10 plus 6 equals 16. 6 plus 6 equals 12. 2 plus 6 equals 8. 3 plus 6 equals 9. Half an hour later, half an hour after 4 o'clock is 4:30. So my long hand is at my 6 and my short hand is between 4 and 5. I have 15 cents. I need 2 more cents to make 17. The odd one out is the middle one because it has a patch on its eye. 15 equals 10 plus 5. The missing numbers were 60, 70, and 80. 5 less than 50. So I want you to put up 5 fingers, boys and girls. We're going to count backwards from 50, and each time you do, put one of those 5 fingers down. 49, 48, 47, 46, 45. 12 take 9 equals 3. First, I'm going to count how many balls I have all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Half of 10 is 5, so I'll ring 5. The lowest wall is the second one. And there are 3 months in a season. Give yourself a sad face, fine face, or happy face, and count your ticks and give yourself a score out of 15. Next up, it's time for your SPHE. I want you to go to your bathroom and identify 2 ways in which an accident could happen and 2 ways you could avoid this accident. Senior infants, I want you to write 1 rule to avoid the accident, and first class, please write 2 rules. If you look here, boys and girls, this is a very messy bathroom indeed. That's quite unsafe. And if you look, he has 2 toy cars right beside the bath, so when he steps out, he could easily slip and fall on the cars and hurt himself by banging his head off the toilet seat or the side of the bathtub.